And guys, we went down some mountains, and one guy hit something, and it's just ruined his wheel. I mean, just caved it in. He almost got killed. Fell off, got all scraped up.
My parents recently attended the annual Sonnenberg Christmas party in Michigan. The Sonnenbergs are my mom's side of the family. I used to be a regular attendee of this Christmas party, but since we moved out of the Midwest, it hasn't been practical to attend. I asked my parents to ask Uncle Bruce, that's my mom's brother, if he'd be willing to have a video chat with me about his Trans-American bike ride. We had a wonderful conversation, and I wish I had more opportunities to speak to this family member more often. I learned that he did this in 1966. Some parts of the video refer to 1965, but it was actually 1966. And at the young age of 15. It was Wandering Wheels' first group coast-to-coast ride. Coach Bob Davenport would eventually complete the coast-to-coast ride 40 times in his life. After we spoke, I regretted not asking a couple of questions, and we had a brief text exchange where I inquired if Grandma and Grandpa were apprehensive of him embarking on this. His response was that since Cousin Mike was there, they were comfortable with him going. I also asked how he paid for the trip, and he worked for his dad every summer painting and saved his money. The recording of our conversation had some volume leveling issues between the two speakers, so I did my best to normalize the audio between us. I'm happy to share this conversation with the world. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this tale of adventure.
Hey.
Uncle Bruce.
All right, David.
It is good to see you.
You too.
So first of all, how did the opportunity present itself?
Okay, my cousin, Mike Sonnenberg, was one of my dad's brother's son, went to Taylor University. And the football coach there goes, I'm going to take whoever wants to go up athletes. They were football players, wrestlers, runners, stuff like that. And he goes, I'll take a couple of high school kids. So when Mike goes, he had called me and said, hey, would you want to go? I was 15 years old. And I said, heck yeah. So me and another guy got to go. And I think there was 35 of us total, in the whole group. But David, one thing we had a trailer and it was big. It was custom made for this trip. We each had a 2x2 locker, 2 foot by 2 foot locker by about 3 feet deep on the sides. Everybody had a locker, you had a number, and you could carry extra underwear, socks, whatever you wanted in there. Some guys carried pop, snacks, we'd stop along the way. And then in the middle of that, they carried, one thing you got to remember is you might have a breakdown. You just don't know. They had bike parts, but there was 35 of us. We had guys break chains, flat tires up the wazoo. And the guy that drove that truck was kind of like our mechanic. So he'd pick people up on the side of the road. He'd be the last guy in or behind us. And if there was anybody that had a problem. In fact, Cousin Mike broke off a pedal. He was a big football player, big thighs. He snapped a pedal off, and they had to fix that. And guys, we went down some mountains, and one guy hit something, and it's just ruined his wheel. I mean, just caved it in. He almost got killed. Fell off, got all scraped up. But that's 35 guys. You might never have an incident, but things can happen. You never know. You should plan for that a little bit. Or now you got cell phones. We never did. You could find out if there was a bike shop, stuff like that, and which would help you out. But it was all. And then also, David, we had in the back, on the one side was a big, we called it the mess hall. It was a huge pot and hooked up to a gas burner. We had the big tanks in there somewhere, and we'd make a big slop pot every night. Just throw everything in there. And that's how we kind of ate. And then you could also eat. Guys would stop at McDonald's. We'd always have somewhere to go to meet at noon, and we all left in groups of about 6.
Mm.
Okay, 6 guys would take off. You had to wait about 5 minutes, and the next 6 group guys would take off. And we had one thing that was important. I was telling your dad, we had these orange flags, fiberglass flags, with a nice orange flag on top. It really, you see 6 of those guys in a row going down the street, man. It got your attention. You know, a good safety feature. And then other than that, we'd always meet somewhere, and the first group in would find a spot, and that's what we'd look for. Flags, and that's what we would get. And same way in the evening. We had a destination, and we had to get there. Some days we drove 20 miles, some days we drove 100, depending. The 100 was a good long day. We tented, but then there was, this guy would call ahead to see if there was any churches available. We could just sleep in a gym or somewhere, maybe they had a game room or something, or if it looked like bad weather. Oh, we spent some nights out there, pouring rain, got flooded out. Oh, man. Yeah, it was. Yeah, there was some nights, and I'm 15. That don't bother me. But you're getting older.
I think that's the first I heard. You were 15 years old at the time. I didn't realize that. And so, were you the youngest person on this trip? If it was college students and you?
Me, right. And then one other high school kid. I think he was a year older. And this kid was good. Me and him were the best peddlers.
Okay.
Nobody could catch us. We were smoking all those. A lot of those guys were wrestlers, big football players, where they weren't that fast, And so we were no drag on them at all whatsoever.
I know Mike Sonnenberg. Yeah, that's my mother's cousin, and his kids. I went to Taylor with Summer and Joel.
Oh, okay.
So two of Mike's kids.
Yeah, Mike's kids, great.
Yeah. And so, did you ride your own bicycle, or was it part of the outfits? Okay.
Well, they told us what bike to buy.
Oh.
And they were 15 speed. Man, I forget, you're bent over, like the bikes that do the big race,
Tour de France?
Tour de France, yeah,
Okay.
like that, And we got them, I got mine like 2 months before, and I was out riding every day just to get, in shape. 15, 20 miles, sometimes I went 30, out 15, come back, because your dad told me you got a different type of bike. You kind of sit.
Yeah, a recumbent is what I plan on doing it on. Which
it's not the real low one, is it? Because they got them down here at Markle. These guys can buy it. It looks like they're almost sitting on the ground.
No, a lot. Those usually the trikes are the ones where your butt's almost on the ground.
Yeah, right.
So the recumbent, it's not as high as an upright bike, the seating position, but it's not as low as a trike. So it is 2 wheels, and it has the nice mesh back seat. And
oh, that's good.
Yeah, the benefit is it's a lot more comfortable. It's better for hauling, because I won't have a support vehicle carrying my tent and sleeping bag and water, all that. Yeah.
Now, are you going to take a little tent or no?
I am.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
That's my intention. I'll probably tent the majority of nights, but then an occasional hotel, and there's still networks, like you said, of churches and biking hostels that put up cyclists doing this trip overnight.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah. So
now, you're not going to go on any expressways, are you?
No, never.
We never did either. Yeah, all 2-lane highways.
There's 3 main routes across America now: the northern tier, the middle tier called the Transamerica Trail, and the southern tier. Southern tier you have to do in the winter because it's too hot to do in the summer. Yeah. So I'm actually doing the middle tier, but I'm cutting straight from San Francisco east to Pueblo, Colorado to meet up with this middle tier, and finishing in Yorktown, Virginia. Do you remember what your route was, or at least your starting and finishing states?
We started out Half Moon Bay. I'm not quite sure what part of San Francisco. Half Moon Bay. We had our back wheels in the water, and then we did go up to Colorado. So we must have took the middle route. But I can remember going through the. I could have swore we did some salt flats there in Utah.
Okay.
I think we went through Utah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got a map back home. but I have to find it. I don't even know. I hope I still got it, but that route that you're taking sounds pretty much.
It does. What was your destination then? Your final destination?
Oh, Rehoboth Beach. Would that be Delaware? I think Delaware. Rehoboth Beach
I'm not sure.
on the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay.
And I know it was close to David, close to Washington, because after we did that, we went back to Washington and toured. We stayed there for 2 or 3 days and toured around. It was kind of cool. We got all our pictures on the Capitol, all standing there. It was in like unison somehow, really nice, up the steps. And they took some cool pictures. And then that's when we were, I think after that picture, we were touring around, and I was with the group, and we were coming down, I think it was almost an expressway there. And the guy in front of me, he didn't say anything, swerved out real quick, and there was like a 4x4. And I hit that, and that's the last thing I remember. I was in the hospital for 2 days. I was knocked out, And I woke up, and I didn't know where. It just felt great. I was relaxed, and man, I'm looking around. I'm in this room, and I turn my head, and on the pillowcase it says in red stone letters, "Casualty." I started feeling my legs, and I could move them, and here, that was the name of the hospital. Casualty. My mom was there, and my grandma came, and they walked in, and they drove me home. I didn't go home with the rest of the guys.
Wow.
But that's how my trip ended, so you never know.
Oh my. What I haven't heard, what year was this then?
Oh, 65.
Man. I mean, because really cycling culture in America didn't start until the 70s when they started mass producing Schwinn's and things like that. So, you were a pioneer there. There were very, very few people who were doing that trip in 65.
Well, that, the group we were called was
Wandering Wheels.
Wandering Wheels.
Yeah.
And that carried on for years. I don't know if they're still doing it, but they would do that. Some guys have done it 3 or 4 times, and I was always busy. Once was enough. I had a great time.
Yeah. I looked up Wandering Wheels today, and the last I can find of them is from 2019, and it was a Facebook page, and the description of Wandering Wheels was a retired bike touring company. So they made it pretty long if it was up until 2019. But they had a building.
COVID probably put this kibosh
Perhaps.
to it. Yeah.
They had a building in Upland, just less than a mile from Taylor University, and I've been to the Wandering Wheels building. Wow. It was this beautiful pole barn with games and kind of a cabin look on the inside and sofas everywhere. We had a few events for Taylor there.
Wow.
And I remember going there thinking, oh, this is the place where my Uncle Bruce, or the outfit that he cycled across America with.
Wow. I didn't know that. I heard David Davenport, I think that was his name. He was the coach.
Bob Davenport.
Bob Davenport.
Yeah.
I think he passed on, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. So a story about Bob Davenport, Coach Davenport, we'd call him. So I had 3 friends who they, senior year, they didn't want to live on campus. They wanted to live in a yurt. That's one of those circular tent structures, with the glass dome at the top. And they were thinking, where could we build this yurt and live in it for the entire senior year? And they got a hold of Bob Davenport, who had a big property just a mile or so off of Taylor University. And they asked Coach Davenport, can we build our yurt on your property? And he said yes. So they lived on his property that senior year.
Through winter and everything, eh?
Yeah, they had a wood-burning stove, and they ran it every night. Those guys constantly smelled like campfire. All the time in the winter, because
in your clothes,
yeah.
What did they do to shower and stuff?
They showered on campus in the gym.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, and actually, one of those guys who lived in the yurt was my friend who cycled across America with his family.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's coming full circle now.
Yeah. So what's your plans now? What do you think? Like as far as what are you going to take along with you and stuff like that? Yeah, you're going to be by yourself. That's why I give you a lot of credit. Especially in today's, it's kind of crazy world.
Yeah. So my plan is to depart. My first day on the bike out of San Francisco would be May 14. Is the intention right now.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to convince my dad at least to bring his electric bike along and ride the first day with me.
Cool.
And then maybe they could head back to the Midwest after that because they're going to be out in Arizona anyways for Allison's graduation.
Oh, awesome! Yeah.
So they'd be around. And then I've been reaching out to some friends saying, "Hey, listen, do you want to do a state with me?
That'd be a great idea.
Want to do Colorado? I got a friend who is almost committed to doing Virginia with me, so the last state on the route. And then there's the data I found say that about 1,000 people do this every summer, and you can't do this without coming across other Trans-American cyclists. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And so I think that I'll build some relationships and friendships on the way.
And you might be able to hook up with the guys for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, you did some good research. Wow.
Yeah, and I'm putting together. I have the GPS track of the route and all the turns, and then what I've been doing in Google Maps is just zooming in on there, and I'm putting in pins for every supermarket, every bike shop that's right on the route.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah.
And so I'll have this document that I travel with that will let me know, all right, listen, I'm not going to be able to fill up water for the next 50 miles. I got to fill up here. So that's sort of some of the planning that I'm doing, but I anticipate 65 to 75 days for the crossing.
That you're giving yourself plenty of time. I think we did it in like 39 days or something.
Oh my, you raced. Okay.
We had some days where we were just cranking. Putting on some miles. Yeah.
The other thing is I'm going to have 40 plus pounds of luggage on my bike.
Yeah.
And you would probably just had water bottles.
I tell you what, I don't even remember having a water.
Okay.
Back then, you waited till you got somewhere. That's when we kind of filled up with Coke or, I don't even think they had bottled water back then. You could buy it at the store. And then, that's smart. Now, how are you going to charge your cell phone and stuff?
If I stop at campsites that have power, if I, stop at a restaurant for lunch, I'll charge things up. And also, they make power banks now, which, hold a charge, but they make ones with solar panels on the top. So I can stick that one on the back of my bike. It can charge throughout the day, and then I can have that power bank to charge my phone with. So, and those you can get those now for $25.
Oh man, yeah, that's technology. That's awesome.
Yeah, in some ways, what I'm doing would be more difficult than what you did because I'm carrying luggage. But in many ways, I got a lot of conveniences that you did not have access to.
40 pounds. But once you're doing it like that, you're going to be used to it. It's like I don't think it'll be bad, really.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah.
And so, was that your first time when you traveled at age 15, traveled west to San Francisco, I assume in a bus or a van or something?
No, I flew out.
You flew? How did your bike get there?
Mike took the bike down to about a week before, a few days before. Mike had to go back to Indiana, Taylor, and he said, I'll take your bike.
Oh, okay.
That's how I got down there.
Oh, okay.
And then, I don't know if Mike flew with me or if we flew together. That I can't remember. But I know I flew out there, and I think that was my first jet ride,
And it was your first time seeing California.
Yes. Oh, for sure, yeah.
Was that eye-opening? What was that like?
It was, it was beautiful, and we were there for we didn't sightsee or nothing. We got there the day and we met, and then the next morning we were taking pictures in the ocean early with our back tires. Everybody was lined up. I got a great picture, and then we took off. And one of the biggest things was coasting down the Rockies. We went through the Rockies. Growing up was a big deal. Some of the older guys would grab onto the semis, and because they're just chugging along, and I'd go by, man, and I'd wave to them. I'd pass the semis, me and that other young kid, and they would ride all the way up. Man, that was kind of funny, on different semis. But man, once you got up there, I think we coasted for if I remember, it was 40 some miles.
Without pedaling.
Just
riding your brakes. No, that's great.
You applied the brakes, man, because you wicked, kind of scary,
Mm-hmm.
That was one big adventure. And then, going through the reason we started out there was because of the prevailing winds, west to east. And it seemed like we had headwinds there through Kansas, all the middle lands, just, man, wind in your face all day long. They had no sun back then. We were all so tan and fried. The first couple of days we got fried, and everybody was just dark. And my dad, I'm trying to think. He came down. I think it might have been in Indiana. I think we came through Indiana. He came down to see. Yeah. So I got to. That was cool. But the whole trip was awesome. Yeah. And some of those churches fed us. It was great. We'd bring some potluck stuff in. And that guy would always do our laundry. Once a week, we put a bag with his name on it. Plastic bag. He'd go in the laundry and do all our laundry. And he was a pretty good guy. He did a lot. Good thing that we had somebody like that. Which made it nice, you know what I mean? Start cooking our meals, picking up people that their bikes broke.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I like your idea. If you can hook up with some people, that would be awesome, man. I mean, I'm sure they would enjoy it too. Or if they're with 2 or 3 or 4 guys, you just, hey, can I tag along? That'd be great. That's smart.
Yeah.
So you're really looking forward to it. Yeah.
I really am. I mean, I'm it's fresh in my mind, so it's kind of all I can think about, and it requires so much planning that I've never been much of a cyclist. I've known how to ride a bike my whole life.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I just got that bike a couple months and started riding,
Uh-huh.
and I love riding. We got 2 bikes here. I like bike riding.
Uh-huh. Yeah. How did it change you? Bruce Sonnenberg is different today because he did this trip back in 1965. In what way? How did it change you?
I don't know. I was young and I really, well, one thing, I was going out for football, and the city paper, little paper, said, "Oh, Bruce Sonnenberg pedals across the United States. He won't need to get in shape." I said in the article, and I go, "Yeah, that's true." I made the team, yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
But other than that, I mean, it was cool. The different guys, and everybody was different. There was guys that would come in and look for everybody, and then they would stop and start doing push-ups. Trying to do 25, 30 push-ups. These guys were like the wrestlers and stuff. They were in good shape, you know what I mean? They were strong. These are college guys. I'm 15 years old. I'm skinny. I'm a rail. I think I weighed 140 pounds. And could eat like crazy and never gained an ounce. Yeah. But I held my own.
Yeah. Man, this was cool hearing your experience. The 2 things that surprised me, I didn't realize how young you were when you did it. And that it was so early. I would have figured that this would have been sometime in the 70s. Because that's when biking culture started to take off. So, wow, kudos to you. There is a, Uncle Bruce, you would really appreciate this. I'm going to send you, after this call, a link to a interview that was done with a guy who did this, a trans-American bike trip, just him and one friend. They went east to west, and I think it was in sometime in the mid '60s. And hearing his stories, it might refresh your memory about some of the things that were going on back then, and just how these two boys' eyes were so opened to things they'd never seen before. Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah, send me that. I'd like to see that. I got to get out my old. I know it's saved somewhere at the house. My old photographs. I kept a journal of what we did every day, how far we went.
Yeah.
And, it's somewhere. I hope I got it.
How would you even know how far you went in miles?
They would tell us.
Because the
coach would tell the coach. The one guy had his truck. He had a odometer. The truck had an odometer, and they kind of knew like if we were going to go to this little town, how far it was to. From they had a couple of ways of doing it, and then he'd let us know every night. Okay, man, we did, and we'd pick a city park or something where we could all go and set up our tents. Yeah, I remember, man. At one time we were under the picnic tables, and it rained so much, everything was just floating away. There was no place to go. We got up and kind of took our sleeping bags and put them over our heads, and just everybody's walking around going, man, I hope this rain stops. When you're young, it's not bad. And you'll have, now you get the weather every day and every minute on your phone. You know what I mean? We never had that. You know what to expect at all.
Mm-hmm.
Coach never told us nothing. He says, hit the road, boys. He rode along too with us, at that time. He didn't ride in the truck. He pedaled the whole way.
Then it was some other staff member who drove the truck then, since he was riding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was like the mechanic, started the cooking and the food, but everybody would help, We'd chip in and chop up stuff and throw it in the pot. It's always like a big goulash pot, Take a big ladle, throw it up, a cup, and off you go and eat. But awesome. We slept good every night. Everybody was pretty sacked out. Yeah.
I imagine that's why those guys must have been really tough to at breaks want to drop down and do push-ups.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to be dropping down and doing push-ups when I stop. No, sir.
I did it a few times, yeah. And I was using all my energy to stay up, stay with these guys and even pass them. But these wrestlers, I could still beat them riding a bike, but man, they were strong.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, when you came into town, we all had each other, to talk to. It wasn't like we had to find, that's how, we were all stuck together.
Cool. Well, thanks for answering my questions and talking with me. This was so interesting.
Hey, have you been riding your bike a little bit?
I just acquired a bike, that this recumbent bike that I'm going to be doing it on just 3 weeks ago.
Oh, then you got time. Yeah, you got time.
Yeah.
You got plenty of time. Yeah, that's good, man. Take some rides, Yeah, and you're in warm weather. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah,
man, I tell you, David, put some kind of flag up, so people see it, man. People are anxious, or they're driving crazy, they're all in a hurry. And, give yourself a little bit of notice.
Good advice. And there's flashing lights now that you run even in daytime on the back of bicycles for visibility.
That's a great idea. People do that here. Yeah, I didn't think of it.
And I'm guessing when you did it, nobody wore bike helmets. Is that correct?
No. No, I didn't know if they had them. They just, no, we never wore them.
Yeah.
We were making like a baseball cap.
For the sun. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's would have probably helped me if I'd had a helmet on and flipped. But they didn't have it.
Well, thanks for your time, Uncle Bruce. Enjoy your winter snowbird time in Florida. You did. Thanks for your time, Uncle Bruce.
Yeah, you sound like you're doing everything. I know you're a smart kid. Okay.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.